Hallelujah.
I was going to start singing.
Praise the Lord. I'm sorry. Okay, you can sing.
It's my own writing, I can't read it. Hi, my name is Mark Calogero. I'd like to welcome you to Designers Resource first live streaming event. Today we're presenting the brand new Easy Spring Plus system from RollEase. Jeremy Giancola from RollEase will be presenting the technical information about the system. We would also like to welcome Elki Horn from Interior Elegance by Elki, who will be demonstrating the construction of cordless Roman. I would also like to thank everyone joining us online. Enjoy.
Okay, my name is Jeremy from RollEase, and I'm going to be introducing the Easy Spring Plus cordless Roman shade system that we put together from an existing very robust spring system that we have on the shelf. So we've already developed a system, and then Elki and Mark, we all work together, and we put together collectively this system, and it's a fantastic system, and it's safe. And it's a great alternative to having control chains. This gets rid of them altogether, so that's a concern gone. A very, very nice tool to have in your tool chest. Maybe not for every single shade, but for the vast majority of your shades that you make, this would be a great way to lift the shade as an operating system. And it tends to put more. Because you can see the panel, it tends to really, the chain isn't something that pulls your eye to it, because you're only seeing the panel, so you're focusing on the beautiful part of the shade and not focusing on the mechanics, because that's ultimately not what you want your customer to see. So I'm going to go over the more technical aspects of the system, and Elki is going to talk about the shades themselves.
Okay, so hello. My name is Elki from Interior Elegance by Elki, and I really want to thank Jeremy for allowing me to share with you this wonderful, wonderful product. And also to thank Mark and the whole company for giving me this great privilege to be able to share with this with you. One of the greatest things that I feel that this system has allowed me to do is to remain with the same method that I've always done my shades, from hobbles to flat Romans, and which I do a lot of flat Romans with shades, with fascia. I have what is called a reverse roll hobble. We have balloons. We have relaxed Romans, and I'm gonna have to, excuse me for a second, but we can do relaxed Romans, we can do balloons. So with this system, like again, it has allowed us to remove the cords from the chains and all that, and make them completely cordless. Jeremy, like he said before, he's going to be dealing with the technical part of it, and I'm going to would like to share with you how easy it is to be able to put the whole system together. I guess, Jeremy, you will describe some of the parts, and then I will be putting the whole system together. And I needed to time myself before, and honestly, it takes less than 10 minutes to put the whole thing together. This is after, naturally, the construction of your shade. And you can feel free to afterwards come and ask questions how I construct my shades, because I do, my workroom is open for lessons and for classes and the construction of the different shades that I supply. But today, again, our concentration is really how to set up the Easy Spring Plus system together, and just to show you how easy it is and how great it is. It's wonderful. Okay, so Jeremy?
Okay, so back to this system here. What we wanted to do is to keep the same traditional look that the panels themselves that workrooms currently make, that their customers seek out, pay for, and enjoy. So to do that, we really needed to stay with the same style, which is going to be basically anywhere from right here down. We wanted to keep as close to traditional as we could. So this system, which I'm just going to kind of go with my notes here, but just to show you, this system, it does get rid of your control cord, so that's out of the picture. You still do have cords in the back that lift, but as long as the shroud is there and it's put on correctly, it stops the hazardous loop from being able to be formed. Now, I don't want to talk too much about the safety standards, but because that's not really what this is about. But this particular, in the industry, we are aware that safety is a concern, and this really does address that. You do have multiple options and ways to go about reaching the standards, but this is certainly a really nice way. So, so moving forward from that, this system, it's basically a very robust spring roller. If you take a look at this spring right here, which is the main spring for this system, this is a very big spring. It's very strong, and it has to be. Workroom moments tend to be very big, very thick, very heavy. The windows that they usually cover are generally quite large. And so the system, it really had to be very, very strong. Consider it's a spring-based mechanism, and springs are not meant to lift this way. The way that a spring mechanism works is when the shade is fully deployed, that's when the spring is at its strongest. And when the shade system is at the top, that's when the spring is at its most relaxed. And that's the opposite way that a Roman shade works, because Roman shades are the heaviest when they're up, and they don't weigh anything when they're down because the fabric stretches right off the dustboard and really suspends itself. So the situation that you have here is when the shade is up, it has to stay up. So that the spring, while it's still in its relaxed or most relaxed form from the entire shade revolution, the spring still has to be holding up the entire amount of panel. So right now, the spring is in its most relaxed position, but still holding that all up. So to do that, you have to have a spring that's incredibly strong, and that's what we have here. So while these springs are quite large, they're very strong. Now I want to show you, inside here, inside this tube here, we have the spring and the stopper. And they do have specific sides they have to go on. We have instructions. Everything can be found on RollEase.com. But to get back to this, the spring is on this side right here. Elki, in her workroom, they use a marking to show you which side that's on. Now that's important because one of the big features of this system is that you can adjust the tension. You can add or release tension right here just by turning it like so. And what I did is I just took out tension, and what that will do is that will make the shade go up more slow and controlled. But if that's not enough, it's going up too slow, it doesn't feel like it has a strength, you just add some tension, and there you go. So I can show you what that looks like. The shade, when the shade's in its up position, on the spring side, you just twist it a few times, and then it'll go up faster. So, now on this side, another feature that this system has is its upper limit. On this particular shade, you can see the shade could be higher, but if it was higher, it wouldn't really look right. So in this situation, the stop is a fantastic feature. Also is if the shade was somewhat high and the operator, the person that was going to be operating it pretty much every day, imagine is a smaller person, so they can't really reach it when the shade is at its upper level. So in that situation, based, of course, aesthetics are something that you have to worry about. You put the shade in its upper position, so it's all the way up now, and I can raise that like so by turning this adjustable knob. So now that's where the shade will stop. Or if I want that lower, I just twist it the other way, and it brings it down. And that's the new upper limit for the shade. So say this is the look or the level that I need it to be at for both aesthetic or just usable purposes. You set it there, and then I bring it down, bring it up, it's only gonna go to the level that I set it at. So that's a really nice feature of this system. Now, I'm gonna talk about this shade about this lift system from,
Excuse me, Jeremy, if I may just show them also
yeah,
how
go
at
ahead.
a relaxed level, that, again, the same stopper as he was mentioning in a flat Roman shade, we can also have it in a relaxed mode, where if we have our shade in the lowest position, again, you may not want to have and it is stuck. And this is a great time where it's stuck, because this is an area where we can troubleshoot it, where the shade is basically called that is, it can't just go any further. We will bring the shade forward to release the lock mechanism inside the spring, and indeed that will release the tension of the shade. Again, if I just release the spring, I had set my relaxed Roman to this position. I did not want it, and again, I could just raise the stopper, the adjustable bracket, I could raise it so that the shade could actually go into a higher position, which for a relaxed Roman, I may not want that look. I may want it to just be a little bit lower. So let's say I want it for my shade to stop at this length, so that when I release it, it just automatically stops at the desired length. So that stopper is just wonderful. Okay, so.
okay, so back to talking about the construction of the shade. Now, this system is very robust, and the largest shade we've ever made is actually right here, behind all the spectators. And this system right here this shade right here is about 77 wide and nearly as long, and about 28 pounds, which is much, much heavier than we actually suspected that it could lift and handle. This shade has been handled every day for over 4 months and still no issues. In fact, this system, in both its roller shade or Roman shade configuration, we've never had an issue with any of the springs yet. So we have, so far, a perfect system. Knock on some wood. Okay, so I want to talk. So this is bigger than we believe that, or we originally had thought that they can be. Our data, which is very preliminary, it's a very new system, but we're saying 18 pounds is probably about as big as you should go. This being significantly heavier than that at about 28 pounds and working perfectly. Since it's being suspended by the center of the board, the weight, as this is a very heavy shade, it's kind of pulling down on both ends, so you're seeing a little bow. But if this was installed, actually installed right here, it would be completely straight, and this system works fantastically. So I want to go back up here, and again, we're talking about as big as you can go. Shades, big windows these days, big is better, right? So with this one, with our shades, you're always going to want to go with the biggest spring possible. This is the largest spring that we sell, and this makes a minimum width shade of 37.5 inches. We have spring selections that go considerably lower, but as your shades, as the projects go, as the shades go, you're always going to want to use the biggest spring possible for the shade that you're working on, so that it's as strong as possible, so that ultimately it lasts as long as possible. Again, so far we have absolutely 0 shade failures, which is really fantastic. And I've tried to break them. I've tried pretty hard. Okay, so starting from the top, you'll see that all of these shades have dust boards. So these are covered dust boards and aluminum head rails. Now that sounds a little bit redundant. Why do I need to have a covered dust board and another aluminum extrusion? It's just extra. So, but there's a reason for it. This particular spring is very strong, and just regular brackets that it sits in aren't strong enough to hold it in place and to keep everything sturdy with all this weight on it. So it's like a suspension system for a car, and this would be the motor. So, in this system, the spring is taut and it's sandwiched in between our two adjustable brackets, which are the same. The left and right are exactly the same. You could switch them up anytime. And the adjustment is for the features, which is both to add or take away tension and to raise or lower the upper limit. So this head rail is necessary, and it's attached to the dustboard with mounting brackets. These little guys right here. And that creates an area where we use to install the shade by putting angle irons or L brackets, sliding them into the area in between. So to install the shade, I unclip it from the dustboard and either drill up into an IB installation and then re-snap the head rail back into the dustboard for to the finished look. Or I would put the L bracket, I would unsnap it, screw the L bracket or angle iron in there, and then screw it back in, or into the wall and then screw it back in. And that's how you'd install it, utilizing the area created with the mounting bracket in between your covered dustboard and your aluminum head rail. So in this case, the aluminum head rail is very necessary. Now, some companies may figure out that this isn't maybe the best way. This is how we chose to put this together. This is the configuration that we went with. You can make changes. We sell it in components. She sells finished shades. But this can be put together in any way or changed in any way that you like to fit your purpose. This is what we decided on. So to come down from the top here, we're still going over the technical aspects. These right here are your standard roller Roman clips, RollEase tube, and brackets, of course. Now, you'll see here that our shroud and our lift cords separate right here, and then they're diverted off to the side about 3 inches from this spot right here off to the side. Now what that does is that gives the lift cord room to traverse across, and you'll see that it traverses evenly because the distances here and here are the same from here to here. So you want the edge of the clip and straight up from the lift cord. That creates, there's a specific area here. In this case, it's 3 inches. So it's exactly the same distance from here to here, and here to here, and here to here, and so on. And that would be the same across the entire width of the shade, so that it all lifts evenly, so that every lift cord is lifting the same amount of weight, and you're not kind of going to one side or the other. You also might wonder why we don't go just straight up onto just straight up. And the reason why we don't do that is because it has to wind evenly. If the clip was right here, it would roll on top of itself, in which case it can really snag on the clip, so then it'll be stuck, and then you have a service call. No one likes that. And if it goes over itself also, if it doesn't snag, you're still creating an area where the stack is building up on itself, so it would be higher in one area and lower in another. And when you have that, only one of the lift cords or few of the lift cords are carrying the burden, creating an inefficient lift, so it's not going to work as well. So we have it diverted one way or the other. Another thing that you might notice here, I notice I'm talking to my shade. It's a very good listener. I tend to do that. Okay, so you'll see here that at this point, this lift cord is pulling to the right, and this one's pulling to the left, to the left, to the right. So they're staggered. They're not all one to the right, another one to the right, another one to the right. The reason why that's not going to work is because if all of these are to the right, then it's going to pull the top of the lift cords, and weight is going to pull it to the side. And ultimately, that's going to make your panel not hang straight and not be aesthetic. So the staggered lift cords kind of pull it, and as the opposing forces keep it straight. Another thing I want to draw your attention to is the lift cord that we used here. Most workrooms tend to use 0.9 millimeter lift cord, and most of our systems, we recommend 0.9 millimeter lift cord. With this one, we decided that we like 1.2 millimeter lift cord because it's twice as strong. And when you're raising and lowering this system, the system's going all the way up and all the way down, but you're basically stretching the system which disengages the cams on the inside of the mechanism and allows the spring to take over and go up or down. Now, when you do that, you're pulling from one central point onto the system, tugging it, and basically that creates a force that goes down like this. So you're pulling on your lift cords, and your lift cords are pulling the tube to disengage the cams, which makes the shade go up. But since you're pulling on the cords are getting a lot more direct force than in most lift systems, where something just creates, whether it's a clutch or motor or whatnot, creates some force here, evenly lifting them up. You're putting your own force down on the shade, and then it's kind of creating a reciprocal force against it. So when you're doing that, you're putting a lot of stress on these, and then they're coming up and wrapping around the tube. Ultimately, this has to stay alive for many years. So we figured that just a little bit more cost, a little bit more effort into the lift cords would make for a stronger product that would last for years. So moving down, you'll see at the first set of rings, that's where the shroud takes over, and the shroud is attached at 7.5 inches or less, so you can't create an 8-inch diameter hazardous loop. So it's safe all the way down to the bottom. Now, I'm also going to show right here. You're going to see that there's a little bit of slack. All of these systems have to have some small amount of slack in them because of what I did just there, as I yanked on it. And there has to be the most minor amount of slack so that it can be pulled and yanked, and it's not going to kind of give a dead kind of yank on that. So it creates some turn in the tube. So, lastly, I want to show you the hem bar situation. Elki, at her workroom, she came up with, and this was fantastic, is a 2 hem bar kind of situation here, where you have your actual brass weight bar here, but you also have another hem bar here, which is at where the shade pole is. And again, when you're pulling on the shade to let it disengage, you're putting force on it, which kind of wants to collapse the panel. So you need to have a really reinforced panel. She also hides ribs and bars inside the shade, which is great because it really adds stability to the fabric panel, allowing for the panel to have integrity for the life of the panel, for the life of the shade. Also, no, this is the shade pole that we decided that we like to use, and we're using buckram, and this is found in every workroom if you look hard enough.
Okay. Now it's my turn, Jeremy. Let me just show them a little bit about the same bar that you just spoke about in the flat Roman, where it's straight and is connected by different points in the ladder tapes, right? Can you show them that area? Yes. So you may still find the same situation in a relaxed Roman, where the relaxed Roman does not have a center point or a center ladder tape area. It only has on the sides, creating the relaxed swagging effect of the shade, but I still place my 3/8 bar to provide that pulling effect that we need for the shade to operate correctly. And again, the longer the swagging is, you may need a little bit more buckram, but for this little miniature shade, as you can see, that we only need kind of like a 4-inch length of it, versus this one here that we'll be making today. The scallop or the swag effect is about 10 to 12 inches, creating my buckram a little bit longer, because what we don't want to create is for people to start yanking on the swag itself. We created this handle so that you can just grab it, and it's so easy to clean. It's wonderful, but again, just hold the handle, and this is how you operate your shade up and down. Okay, so I really did cut you off on that one.
On this, one of the things about this is on a spring roller based shade, even on the old spring roller shades that we had in our house probably growing up or in school, the big ugly green ones, you always had to grab it right in the middle of the panel to give it a pull, or you grab it kind of equidistantly from the ends and give it a tug so that it'll go. Everybody just kind of knows from experience from when you're a kid, you can't grab it right here and the shade will go up. So this pull had to be, and this is why we chose the buckram, you had to, when someone's fishing for the pull from the room side, they're reaching back to the street side, and they're going to grab it. Now obviously we didn't want hands touching the fabric, discoloring the fabric over time. It had to be a different texture so someone could feel it. You could use different shade pulls, but what we liked about this is it has multiple contact points, which actually you can see better right here. So with these multiple contact points, when someone reaches back and grabs a hold of it, they find it because it has a different texture. And again, it's washable, so your hands can't dirty it. And if it does, you can just wipe it clean. And it's UV inhibited, so the sun won't discolor it over time. And it's very clear, so it's still aesthetic from the street side. So when you reach behind and you grab it and you give it a tug, it's pulling on multiple points. So it has a better tendency to in less tries, to dislodge the cams and for the mechanism to take over. So that's why we like the buckram and why it's, in this case, tacked in multiple points along the hem bar.
No, Jeremy, let me show them how easy it is to put it together. Come on. Yeah, you've spoken a lot now. So here it is. Basically, like he said, the mounting clips, okay? The mounting brackets also is called. We have the adjustable brackets. And this is the ones that he was talking about that we can use it on either side of the shade, okay? So, because they're exactly the same, as soon as I grab my spring and I know that I'm gonna be placing it inside of my pole, the next thing that I do is to grab my little marker. Now, I don't know how accessible these are gonna be, but I'm sure that you can manage something. So, as soon as I grab my pole, I just put my little sticker so that I know that that's where my spring is gonna go into. Now, inside the pole, you are gonna be able to see an area where there is a groove inside the pole. This is where you will insert your spring, making sure that the groove on your spring matches that groove to slide it through the pole. Got it?
Yeah.
Good? Okay, so we're gonna do that, and I'm doing it with one hand, so you have to be a little magician here, but we can do it. Again, we have the groove, we're sliding it through the groove, okay? Also, there is an area here in the spring with a stopper, and I also make sure that that little area goes through the groove. And Jeremy, feel free to cut me off if you need to. You know, I will be, I should have brought my hammer again, but I didn't. You will be.
Sorry to interrupt. The other side doesn't have the grooves, just this side?
Yes, the other side will have the groove. That's a very good question, but I just want to make sure that you guys understand that on the side that I'm going to be putting my spring, it's really important for you to remember that we're going to be marking it, because on the other side, this is where we will be applying the stopper, okay? And it's the same pole, so it also has the same groove. I don't know if you guys could see it, okay? So we will be sliding, again, the stopper as well has the groove in those areas. So I will be sliding the stopper around those grooves, okay? Okay, I'm gonna need a strong man to put that in through. Okay, you're gonna get me a mallet? So basically, wow, heavy duty tools here. Okay, so again, you know, just very slightly Not with such a big hammer, but, you know, you don't need such a big hammer. But again, you're gonna be hammering in the stopper and the spring. And again, both of those sides look exactly the same, and that would be kind of a, you know, in case you make a mistake, it's like, what are you gonna do? So now I know that this side is my spring side, okay? So, as far as continuing with the application of the mounting brackets, I like to put my mounting brackets about 4 or 5 inches in from the edge of my shade. And I actually like to put it like a 1/4 of an inch back. Let me just show it, you can see that. Okay, so the mounting brackets, okay? And you will be getting your mounting brackets with a special type of screw. These screws are a little round head. You know, I know that I love to use hex head for all my applications, but in this particular mounting brackets, you cannot use a hex head. You kind of have to use the screws that are provided with your brackets. After that, we will be applying the adjustable brackets. Well, now I see that there is another mark and it's not orange. This has nothing to do other than my measurement, because I do go with, you know, I make all my shades, then I tell my husband, okay, I need 20 of them, so he has to cut all the rails and the tubes and so forth. And I like to use, in my particular workroom, I guess the instructions will be coming out really soon, and it will be coming out tomorrow. So, and adjustments as far as like how much to cut the rail, how much to cut the pole, all that will be included in the instructions. Okay, so I will be applying the adjustable brackets. I usually like to apply just one first, because my second step afterwards is to take my, Jeremy warned me, make sure you know your words.
Crank.
This is
My
just a
cranker.
Yeah, it's just a crank. So I'm just gonna talk real quick to the amount of tension that you put. We have several charts, and they're real preliminary data, but charts onto how many pre-rotations. However, as a quick rule of thumb, and all those charts are gonna be available to you, but as a quick rule of thumb, I found that when in a gym and don't actually have time to go back and figure out, if you put 14 pre-rotations, attach it, and then kind of infinitely adjust it using the adjustment right here for the tension. So you're putting on preliminary tension with the crank, and you're doing that so you're not turning it all day because your hand will get tired. Halfway through it, you'll have to go eat lunch, come back, put more tension afterwards. So if you put some amount of pre-tension with the rotation tool, crank, and I always say, you know, just put 14 and then see what happens from there. So then you put it on there, and when the shade's up, you just kind of infinitely adjust it, and there you go. But we do have charts, so
Okay,
I'm gonna
so,
go ahead, give it
okay,
back.
this side counts 1 to 14, that side starts from 2 to 14. Okay. And then I'm gonna start.
How you count it? Like just.
I'm just counting it, you know, away from me, counting it on a downward motion, you know, 14 times. But I'm gonna do a devil's advocate, and I'm gonna, you know, do it 15.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what I like to do. Okay, so and you see that it's really not a hard thing. You take your little tool, you create your tension by rotating your the spring inside, okay? And then when you stop, it's not like the old-fashioned springs that, God forbid, that you mess, you know, it doesn't happen to go like that.
Okay, so you can reverse too?
No.
No, you can't reverse it, but at this moment, what we're doing is creating the tension, okay, for a bracket, okay? I am gonna just now, at this point, just slide my rail onto the mounting brackets. And you see how easy that was to clip? Okay, so if you need to remove it, you press it, and they're really new, and I don't want to screw up my nails, so But they're really, really easy, believe me. You want to try it? Okay. And I should have tightened that one a little bit more.
Do you want me to put it back on?
Yeah.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, let's tighten it up a little bit more. You broke it, Jeremy.
Yeah, kind of. It's on there.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, just clipping it. Okay. Slide it. We're gonna put it in. We're gonna take our other adjustable bracket. And basically, we're just gonna slide it in. Again, it's very, very important to use the screws that are provided with your brackets. They're tiny, they're small, and
Don't
you
move.
do not over tighten. You do not need to over tighten this. Like I said, you may not be able to see the whole picture of this because my shade is already made. What I did is that I already placed my trout tape on the ladder tape, or trout tape, whatever you guys want to call it, my cord. So basically what we're going to be doing is applying our cord onto the roller clips.
This is the part where it's tricky.
Well, no, it's not tricky. It's real easy. However, one thing that I like to do, I like to mark everything so that, Jeremy, can I have that, the marker? So that I don't have to go back and unclip and do things twice. The beginning of my ladder tape is 4 inches in from my shade. I like to just make the allowance to my head rail or to my system just to be about a ½ inch less than the total board length. So if I just come in about 4 inches, and mathematically and also genetically I do know that this is 3 inches, so I will put my hand here, measure 3 inches, and this is where my clips are gonna go. But if you want to use a tape measure or a ruler or whatever, feel free. Okay? But in my hand, this will be the measurement of from the edge of my board to the ladder tape will be about 4 1/4, 4 inches or so. Take my hand, which is 3 inches, 4 fingers is 3 inches, and mark it. Okay? I will take our clips, and it's just that easy to apply our clips to the 3 inch. And don't do it, because guess what? We didn't remove our orb, okay?
So you need scissors now. That's what I get for going ahead.
Yes.
Anybody got a knife or scissors? Knife or scissors? I know. There you go. Army uniform, you have to have one on you. Leatherman, there it is.
Oh my goodness, I know that JC is gonna kill me. Good. Okay, and I'm gonna allow you to have the pleasure of removing the clip. I like to put the cord, these clips have a smaller and a larger hole. I like to put my clip towards the smaller one so that when I make my knot, it's less resistant. And don't use a knife, get some scissors. And again, real simple, I put it through the smaller hole. This is awesome, this is great. Okay, put it through the smaller hole. I double check with my handy measuring tool. Go in there that this is exactly the 4 inches. And I wanna make sure that the way that my string or cord is coming out is closer to that second measurement, okay? I do not want to put it in the opposite side. I want to put it towards my measurement, okay? Don't go too fast.
Pressure's on.
Pressure is on. Don't get nervous. The time is just ticking right now.
Use the scissors.
Yeah, yeah.
Take your time. You still trying to cut it?
Just no double overhand knot? Where's your mark?
My fingers. 4 inches in, right here.
Right, oh yeah, right where I mutilated it.
Okay. And I'm gonna just release. You can just release my orb.
On the bottom as well?
Yeah, right there.
Take it all the way up?
Yeah, take it all the way down so that they can see that I will come down to the length of it. Okay, now this is a very long shade, so again, I have, the way that I make the constructions of all my shades is that I usually love to have what is called a permanent fold in all my shades. So even if when I have my shade to my lowest position, you will still have another fold over. So just in case you are tightening your buckram to the weight bar, you don't want to see any of those, you know, that strong thread or anything like that. So by allowing yourself to have that extra permanent fold at the bottom, the lowest point of your shade, it creates that, you know, it just covers everything that you want to hide there, okay? So again, I will raise it and I will, again, raise it to, you know, to have that permanent fold that I'm talking about, so that, and basically this step now is that I would like to afterwards put it up in the spring, and then I will show you how we actually adjust it. But to this point, I basically just wanted to show you how easy it was to set it up, to set up the whole system. Honestly, I did, you know, if Jeremy hadn't, it would have taken a few minutes. But it really does take, it doesn't take very long, okay, to set up the whole shade, whether it's a relaxed Roman or a flat Roman or a hobble. And again, as I make my shades, I usually like to just finish that whole thing, thread it through, put the ladder tape, sew my rings, do everything, whatever I need to do, and then I do all my shades with the system. So kind of like an assembly line, and I will be done in just a few seconds. Okay?
Okay, so while we have, we're going to the question and answer?
Sure.
Okay.
How about the balloon shade? I mean, it's real heavy with line or interline.
Well, behind you, there is a little miniature one of it. What I have done, there is a balloon shade there that we will be making, excuse me for a second. Sorry. And again, this is just a miniature one, but the whole concept, you know, goes, beyond said, that we are able to do balloon, relax, flat Romans, hobbles, a London behind. I don't know if you're gonna be able to do it later on, but you'll be able to see. Again, with the stopper, we are able to create that lowest portion where we want to have the shade showing. Okay, so we can do them line and interline, balloons, or relax, London. And again, the London is, it's line and interline. It has the contrast insert. This one does not have the system on it yet, because that's what I do. I make all my shade, and then I honestly could just pop the system in 10.5 minutes. Okay. And here, again, this is another example of my buckram where this balloon is a lot deeper, so the buckram is a lot lower. I still have my weight bar. You know, all of us that do make balloons, you know that we still need the weight bar to control the width and the spread of our shade. So with that, we'll be able to access that. And again, since I don't want my clients to be pulling on the bottom of the shade, this is made so that they can access to lower and raise your shade. So again, with this balloon, well, this one has really been abused, so don't look at the upper part, just look at this part where we're able to utilize, bring the buckram all the way down, all the way up. I did not, we haven't created a stopper yet because I wanted to just show you how easy it is for us to be able to create the stop on this. Okay? So,
One quick question.
Yes.
The spring can go on either side. Once it's in, it doesn't matter?
excellent question. Okay.
Springs can only go one direction. We put the spring in there.
Here.
Okay. Springs can only go in one direction. And to kind of explain how this spring kind of twists just this, only this way. So if you were going to make if you're looking at it from the street side and you're going to make a waterfall type Roman, the spring is always going to go on the left side. And if you were going to make a say reverse front loader is how she calls it, or I've also heard it called a standard type, where it comes off the back of the board, similar to this shade right here, where right now tucked over the back is the front valance, which hides it, but the fabric comes off the back of your dust board, behind your system, and then the lift cords go through. In this way, the spring is going to be on the opposite side as it is from there. So if you were looking at the street side of it from behind, it would be on the other side. So depending if it's a waterfall, then it's going to be on this side. And if it's a standard
Or reverse.
it would be on the other side, because they have to they can all go that way. So you're just kind of adjusting the spring. It's addressed in our fabrication instructions as well. But that was a great question. Thanks for asking.
Can I ask a question, please? When you don't have projection, it's IB mounted,
It's,
and you have only 3/4 of an inch. How
Well-
can you use this? Because you need a big
yes,
dashboard,
the
and you have
minimum,
a distance between the window and the shade.
Okay.
And the light go through.
Good question.
I understand you do that front load, it's okay.
yes. And
But when
that's,
it's IB, you really cannot do that.
no, you can't, you can't. The only thing, when I get into situations like that, one of the things that I really will recommend to our clients and decorators is that we will do what is called a reverse roll, where you will mount it outside, 3/4 of an inch, sometimes even for me doing a normal workroom system
Be close to the
or.
window, and still you have front load, you have balance up front.
Exactly,
You have that fixed.
exactly. But as far as just going, taking the whole system and putting it in as an IB with a 3/4 of an inch allowance, it's kind of a little bit, it's hard. Okay?
Yeah, because most of the customers, they don't want to have a big projection, even if it's OB.
Yeah.
And then the standard clutches and the heavy clutch is the very small, very tiny rod that you put a clutch, and you only have 1.5 inch distance.
Yeah, that is
Which
a
is
very good
perfect.
point. In our industry, we can't always have the deep 5-inch sill that we would like to have, so we can mount all the shades in the world that we want IB. That would be fantastic. Unfortunately, it's just not really how it goes. When you have just the 3/4 inch depth and you want to go IB as much as possible, it's difficult considering with this system, just to show you, the hardware from here to here, or since they're all put together now, it requires more than 1.5 inches. So it can be used on for the dustboard, a covered dustboard, it can be say a 1x3, or it can plane it down, as she does in her workroom, to a 2-inch true, so it's actually 2 inches. versus like a 1 by say 2.5, which is what a 1 by 3 ends
3.
up being. So when you're trying to fit that into a 3/8 inch sill or 3/4 inch sill depth,
Protection.
it's just not going to really happen. So unfortunately, that's just one of those things that you can make this 2-inch, and that's really kind of it. You're going to have to go OB in that situation. There's really no, there's not a lot as far as systems go that you can operate in a 3/4 inch sill.
Will RollEase be making like an expressly yours where you give them the size and you just send out the whole thing, or is it only component parts that you're going to be selling?
At RollEase, we only sell component parts, but I can address that directly afterwards.
I have a question. I noticed that the cords, lift cords don't tangle up on top of each other. How does that, how do they stack so nice like that?
Great question. It has everything to do with Elki right there. Okay, so you'll see right here how it diverts from the first ring over 3 inches, 3 inches, 3 inches, or 4 inches, but as long as it's equidistant, it doesn't actually matter the space that you use. But so as the shade's coming up, which you'll see here, it's wrapping, and see how it's kind of pulled to the side. It's pulled that same, it's gonna kind of wrap towards itself every time, and because it's wrapping towards itself as the shade comes up, that creates, and there's all the same distance in between your clips and your lift line, it's gonna wrap kind of towards itself every time. And they're all gonna lift at the same rate, and these stacks are all gonna look pretty much the same, creating an even lift. So that's how that's kind of the science of it.
So you are doing the 3-inch from the part where the cord is?
Yes, if you see right here, we did, was it 3 or 4 inch? 3 inch, right?
It's 3
Yeah,
inches.
as long as it's the same, 3 inches is good.
Jeremy, you're talking a lot more than I have,
Mm-hmm.
so we have to, we have to say bye to the online people, and then we can just continue with the questioning. Okay, so.
Yeah, we'd like to thank you for watching and thank Jeremy and Elki for all the information they provided us. And if you need any other questions or anything, just give us a call.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
One more thing, at RollEase, we want to present you with a plaque to thank you for.
You're gonna make me cry.
This system actually wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. She really did. She put a lot of her own time and effort into helping us put this together, and this is fantastic. All her effort, nights, time, weekends. She did this on vacation time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
She gets more
Thank
than
you.
the plaque.